Guys, gentlemen, mostly gentlemen, but if ladies want to tune in, that's great too. I'm Semen del Piso, and we're back once again with another video. Of course, we're gonna do some analysis. If I'm not one of the acolytes of analysis, then I don't know what I am. But I do know that I am a student of life. I always try to learn new things, especially in regards to semen retention. So today, of course, like, comment, subscribe. And let's just get into who we're gonna talk about today. Today, we're gonna talk about this doctor, right? He called himself because he passed away. All the people that I do analyses on, they are sort of in the next realm, or they've passed away from this one. It's only because I think a lot of the things of the past, a lot of people of the past, sort of revolve around a sort of moderation of life. It's not necessarily pushing, or they never push this whole idea of you gotta be a glutton. It's okay to be overweight, or it's okay to eat as much as you want, or it's okay to splurge as much as you want. They were all about moderation, right? Of course, in his case, and a lot of the other people that I do analyze, they talk about complete continence, right? Or complete black on the one end of the spectrum. So we're gonna talk about today Dr. Edwin Flatto, who he is. There's not a lot of information on him online, but what we do know about him is that, one, he is a doctor, as signified by the doctor in his name. And then also he was an author. He's wrote a lot of books trying to guide men into how to feel younger, right? And how sexual energy, right, can be cultivated within the body due to some specific practices. Don't we talk about this a lot on the channel? Don't we talk about it a lot on the channel? So, I don't know if you guys, oh, look at this. This is like Cuphead, right? I don't know if you guys played Cuphead, small reference. Remember, I don't know if you guys got far, last boss, the devil, when he's like, dun, 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 and then he turns into a Chinese dragon. No relevance. But anyway, we're gonna analyze one of his books, Warning, Sex May Be Hazardous to Your Health. It's a large book, as with many books, so we're gonna go and talk about the preface of this wonderful piece of literature. So as I said, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get right back into it. He already begins wildly, right? That's what I like about these authors. Of course, none of them sort of touch Aldous Huxley, my surrogate father. But he writes well anyway, and he writes straight to the point, which is what's important. First sentence, I believe, is a quote. If sex is hazardous to my health, I don't want to know about it, right? Interesting, right to the point. We already know he's not gonna be mucking about. He's not gonna be dancing around a little bush or around the topic, right? He's gonna go straight, he went straight into it. Is the reaction some people will have to this book? I am firmly dedicated to the proposition that information has never hurt anyone, right? When a person is armed with the facts, it enables him to make intelligent decisions. In life, right, this is not really directly related to sexual continence nor semen retention, which are one of the pillars of the channel and the pillars of my identity. But this is a fact, right? If you are armed with information about a certain thing, it's almost as if someone, right, especially information from the past, it's almost as if someone went out and did the reconnaissance for you, and you're just absorbing their information, right? And then you're utilizing it in the modern age. And then, of course, creating your own way and gleaning your own information about how you are acting with that information from the past in this present age. Genius, logic, common sense, a lost art in this day and age. Let's continue with what Dr. Flatto had to say. He spent extra years in school for us to call him doctor. We're gonna call him doctor. Let us start with the premise that sex is a necessary function, right? Assuming sex is necessary. This is what he says. Is this a true statement? Physiologically, the sex act is not in the same category as other natural, normal bodily functions such as eating, breathing, sleeping, defecating, and urinating. Of course, we cannot live without any of these bodily functions being constantly and regularly performed. But millions of healthy individuals have demonstrated that a person can live a long, healthy life without ever using the sexual function. So we already have proof, guys. If we, following this channel, right, we already have some examples of individuals that have already done away with the sexual function and have led very, very powerful lives. Semen del Piso included. Don't compare me to Nikola Tesla, which is another maestro of foregoing the whole sexual act to create good works. But I'm right there. Life is a journey, right? You grow, you develop and whatnot. Nikola Tesla, a very powerful individual that understood about channeling electricity and creating the cell phone before the cell phone, and of course various other things for Thomas Edison, but that's a story for another day. Isaac Newton, right? The individual, the scientist who at 28, right, or 26, created calculus. I don't know any 26-year-old in my midst, in New York, in the world, that has replicated such a feat in this modern age. Not only he created calculus, he created the 3 laws of physics, the three most important laws of motion, and of course, most importantly, he was a man of God. He's flagellated himself every time he felt anything, any sort of sexual move or movement in the loins or any sort of attraction or anything. He went home and flagellated himself to try to beat it out of himself. A little drastic, but he had the right mind, right? He's of the right mind, sound mind. The Spartans were individuals that practiced sexual continence, right? In order to be triumphant and have superior tactics to all the enemies that surrounded them. Various examples of history of individuals that forewent sexual pleasure in order to ascend. This definitely supports exactly what Dr. Edwin has said. Let's continue. The idea of necessity, right? Necessity is such a strong word. It's like, without it, you will not be able to live. Without it, I cannot go forward. Necessity is such a strong word. It has so many implications in it. So that's why I'm guessing he's implying that we need to use that sort of sparingly, because it's a very powerful word. The idea of necessity prevails because it fits in with inclination, which is, everyone's doing it, so I guess I should do it. Or it feels good, so I guess I gotta do it. When in reality, it's not necessary to continue with your life without it. In fact, there is no known disease attributable to abstinence. I didn't even get to that in the channel yet, talking about if you're not on semen retention and you're sleeping with individuals, the risks of sexual diseases. I didn't even get there yet, but we're gonna talk about that one day. But there are many diseases attributable to the opposite condition of doing it too much. So he's talking about, Dr. Edwin, if you sleep around a lot, excessively, abundantly, you are at a risk of incurring sexual disease, which of course leads to a whole bunch of other things, and a lot of things that are passed down through DNA, genetics, right? Which sort of explains a lot of our current world. We're gonna continue, all topics for another video. This book is by no means advocating complete abstinence or celibacy as a way of life. Oh, thank you, doctor. Oh my goodness. I thought I was gonna have to quit my licentious life of sleeping around with a whole bunch of females, because that's what defines me, you know? I have that nice BMW, I have that business where I sort of manipulated the government so I can get the loans, and I just like to sleep with women. That's the definition of my life. Thank goodness, by reading this book, he's not trying to force us to sin sexually excessively. Thank goodness. I am merely pointing out at the beginning that there is no harm in remaining continent. Interesting. Sex is not a necessary function which must be performed regularly. The organs and glands which control reproduction are not like our muscles, which must be exercised regularly in order to function properly, and of course to avoid atrophy. The whole idea of life, which is why the whole 9-to-5 office job is not the best for individuals, because it leads to a sedentary lifestyle, which leads to atrophy, which leads to debilitation, which leads to early death, onset of a whole bunch of joint problems, and it puts a whole excess amount of money in the pockets of the physical therapists of the world, who are, give or take, the same way. Let's continue, guys. Indeed, the opposite is true. The reproductive glands are more efficient and potent when given a period of rest. The premise that sex is natural must also be rejected. It depends on how it is used. Nature obviously designed the sexual apparatus to be used for procreation, right? I don't know what happened in this world where we just sort of got the message lost, right? We're just doing it, we're just splurging everywhere, we're just having fun, we're just using it, and there's no rhyme or reason or regulation or sort of rule or restrictions, nothing. We are just having fun, and the world, the people of the world, the idols say, our celebrity idols, say nothing about continuously indulging in this vice. In fact, they promote it. They promote it through their videos, their ideas of the concepts behind their music videos, the ideas behind their songs. This is all part of this perpetuation of this lifestyle, guys. What the heck? If recreation or pleasure per se were what our creator had in mind when he designed our reproductive organs, there would be no need for all the attention, time, and tremendous sums of money spent in searching for a reliable contraceptive without harmful or undesirable side effects. Interesting. Logically thinking doctor, right? Individual of the past, right? Which is in very, very short supply in the world of the now. He's saying that if procreation is a secondary or a second function of the sexual apparatus, and you are allowed to have your little fun and entertainment, then why is it that so much money is spent on the R&D, research and development, for contraceptive methods that still do not have all the quirks worked out? There's still hormonal imbalance in birth control. IUD, I think those are a little dangerous too. And still they do not, these contraceptive like condoms, they do not stop sexual diseases. So with that being said, there is no confirmation that sex for recreation is a proper thing. There's no proof. Let's continue. Dr. Edwin Flatto, gentlemen, person with common sense. Let's keep going. Man is the only animal that nature allows in his natural environment to perform the sex act whenever he chooses to do so. You get turned on, let's go do it. You have these foods that are pumped with hormones, happen to consume them. You see a woman that you like that's also consumed the same thing. Let's go have fun. You know, this is just it. Everyone else, all the other animals in the animal kingdom, when they're pretty far from the human life, they have like these mating periods, right? We have bears that have a hibernation period, and then they have a mating period. We are the only species that choose to licentiously enjoy ourselves. All the other animals have definite mating periods. This is what I just said mating periods, when the female will accept the male organ. Of course, there are the drastic examples in history. Oh, how you doing? There are the drastic examples, not in history, but in just the animal kingdom, where I think when a male praying mantis sleeps with a female praying mantis, usually just gets his head sliced off. Or it was like with the black widow, right? Or the spider. If the black widow sleeps with or mates with another male black widow, the female to the male just gets consumed after. Thank goodness if that's not the same thing as that's parallel in the human, within the human species, or else it would be like the opposite of China, right? It'll just be an excess of females, right, everywhere. Life will eventually cease to stop. Of course, well, maybe the females would carry on and start creating males out of natural atoms. I don't know. I'm just trying to be creative. I'm just thinking, dudes. I'm just thinking. These are the short periods when the female is fertile or in rut or heat. The female dog will not permit a male dog to enter her sexually unless she is in heat, which usually occurs about once every 6 months. The same pattern is followed throughout the animal kingdom. Birds generally mate about once a year or during the spring. Sheep and goats mate once or twice a year during their mating seasons. Wild pigs mate once a year, and the elephant in its wild state mates only about once every 2 years. Okay, let's get some, let's use our brains a little bit, right? I didn't even know about these mating periods, especially in regards to elephants. The only time they are releasing is every 2 years, right? In order to propagate their species. Of course, they have a vegan diet. I'm not advocating for a vegan diet. I love my steak, I love my chicken, I love my fish. But you see how the elephant is one of the hugest animals in Africa in general, right? They only have sex once every 2 years, and they eat excessive amounts of plants, and they're giant. What is that saying about the detriment of the sexual function? Lads. Rhinos are not omnivores, but I think they're herbivores as well, aren't they? Huge animals, very, very dangerous, right? And I'm sure they only mate like probably once a year, maybe once every 2 years, 3 years, who knows? What is this example is meant to display is that the more you limit sex, the more powerful your organism, your body becomes, the more powerful your vessel is. Everything in the vessel, your brain, no matter how you use the brain to fathom about astrology, no matter how you use your brain to sort of analyze on a microscopic level the atoms that make up a tree, that is still part of the vessel, which gets powered up when you retain your seed and you're afraid from sexual activity. We have a lot more to talk about, so we're just gonna end this part 1 of Edwin Flatto's warning, sex may be hazardous to your health book analysis by yours truly, Semen. If you enjoyed that content, like, comment, subscribe. Please stay tuned for the next part. because we don't stop on this channel, guys. Lads, we don't stop trying to rip the veil that was created by the modern world, or maybe due to the efforts of a certain small few, of how we're supposed to live our lives. We're supposed to have too much sex. We're supposed to eat a lot of food with a lot of super stimuli. We're not supposed to do exercise. Body positivity is great. We're gonna rip off the veil more and more, right? So come tune into the next part. Don't ever let this world get you down. Read books of the past, the Iliad, Dante's Inferno. Warning, sex may be hazardous to your health, because you will start to unveil more about what reality has, or the people that are sort of in charge of the physical reality, what they imposed upon us. And stay radiant. I shall see you guys in the next part. Woo!